outside there's a cooking here. So
Yeah, could be.
you all know the joys of being in India.
Yeah. Hey guys, I see a couple of people already in chat, in online. So thank you, Gaurav. I'm super excited for us to have this first session, especially after we formed our, the Spark Prod community. May I request people who are online to confirm if they're able to hear us clear, loud and clear? Let's wait, give it a couple of minutes for more folks to join in and folks to confirm that they are able to hear and see us clearly. All right. So Sagar, thank you,
Yeah,
Sagar, for
I
joining us early in the morning on a Saturday afternoon, morning rather. So I think um, we can get started. Gaurav, let's give also maybe another minute, maybe for more folks to join in, and we
yeah,
start
sure.
at 10:35.
Yep, yeah, that sounds good. So I know it's Saturday morning. People here in the India. So, I mean, if somebody else is or so probably there's some time issue, but I assume even is that correct?
Gaurav, you seem to be breaking up a little bit. I don't know, is it on my side or folks are able? Yeah, Sagar is also saying that your voice is breaking a little bit.
So let's
Is it any better now or still?
Oh yeah, this is a lot better. But I think there's a little bit of echo. I don't know, it is because of my
So
side.
there may be other sounds but now because I'm not on my AirPods anymore. So there will probably be a lot more background sound. But if the voice is better, we'll stick with this.
Yeah, but I think there's a little bit of echo. I don't know why. Sagar or Marissa, can you guys confirm? Okay, so I think this is fine. Gaurav, can probably we can just switch into mute mode when either of us are talking.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay, I think hopefully this should be better now. Okay, so I think it's 10:35 and we are, I think, good to get started. So first of all, I really want to thank everybody. Gaurav, can you go on mute for some time while I'm talking? Yes. Okay, thank you. I don't think you're on mute. Okay. Anyway, let me go ahead. So thank you, first of all, everyone, for joining this early morning. My name is Malti, and I'm the host and founder of Product Talk with Malti, and I'm also a product consultant and coach. And probably now I have a new addition to my basket, which says I'm the founder of Spark Prod WhatsApp community, and which is seems to be growing very fast. We have about close to 250 members now, and super excited to have many of you on this Saturday morning here. So, as part of this community, one of the things which we are trying to do is that share the goodness of the knowledge. And I and Gaurav happen to be LinkedIn buddies, and then we kind of met a couple of times. And I'm definitely marveled with so much of richness of product knowledge, and he has been a veteran at Cisco, and he has kind of done building, scaling, launching, managing products of scale multiple times. So and of course he also brings the goodness of talking about how products are built, both in different parts of the world, on the North America side, and also because he has worked with the teams in India, he also understands the nuances of how products are built here. And in the last couple of years, Gaurav has moved on to find his own Ikigai, as he calls it. That is the Ventures group, along with his co-founding partner. And today we are going to kind of unwrap, his own framework, which is more in terms of understanding what does product market fit means. So I'm not going to take any more time, and over to you, Gaurav. Folks, just one request: if you have questions, please keep them coming on the chat. I'm going to be listening, looking at the questions, and I'm going to be passing on the questions in between as well. So feel free to please send your questions on these things. So thank you, Gaurav, again for doing this for us while you are here in India. And over to you.
So thanks, Malti. Great to be here. Great to be part of this community. And like you said, we are LinkedIn buddies. When I first met you, it felt like I had found my alter ego in India. You were doing pretty much like you had a podcast. You are a product advisor, product coach after having had a successful corporate career in various roles. And it was great meeting you over the last few trips to India. And now that I've said this publicly, and it's there on our mission statement and all, we are right now in the midst of what we call bridging the valleys between me and my founding partner. We're both of Indian origin. We have worked with the Indian tech community. All our career has been based in Boston and Silicon Valley, respectively. And now we believe India is poised to actually not that India is not already doing. India is doing great things in terms of products already, but for the next wave.
Gaurav, can
Gaurav,
you
can
be a
you be
bit
a
more
bit more
louder? I
louder?
think
I think
somebody's saying
somebody's
that they
saying that
can't
they
hear
can't
you
hear
very
you very
clearly.
clearly. Yeah, sure. I believe India is now poised to actually kind of go in this next wave of really with the global capability centers in become sort of the innovation hub, and everything that I have learned over my careers, that both me and my founding partner have learned over the careers, and being close to the Indian ecosystem, and we love the Indian resourcefulness, or as people call Jugaad. That plus the Silicon Valley sort of focus on strategy plus execution, which in our opinion is actually the perfect yin and yang of what product management needs to be. So combining all of that together, we believe we can really make a big impact. And I'm right now a global citizen, spend my time between Boston and Bangalore. So we are our stated mission is bridging the valleys, and I am part of the Spark product community that you started. Really excited to be part of that, and looking forward to doing this webinar. We've been on this journey of Ventures grouping for about 18 months now, and as part of that, we have developed a few frameworks, and you briefly touched upon it. Call it that I am on in the midst of finding my Ikigai. And sorry if there's some background noise. You all understand, being in India, there's a cook cooking in a different room, so there's probably some noises. I cannot do much about that. So anyway, I am sort of on this journey of finding my Ikigai, and that's what Ventures Inc. is. And as I was doing this, I also realized that what I'm really passionate about is innovating with a purpose. And Ikigai is nothing but trying to find your purpose, reason for being. So whatever frameworks we've come up with, they seem to kind of fit in perfectly. We were like, okay, yes, it is kind of the Ikigai for your business, and that's what I'm going to cover today. It's what we call Ventures PM² framework, and if, as Malti said, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. The way I have actually designed this presentation is that it is typically interactive. I don't, I mean, the presentations where I just talk for a long time and you all listen and it's one-way street. I have been in those presentations. I don't think human attention actually stays for that long, no matter how interesting the subject is, how engaging the speaker is. And I don't claim to be extremely engaging anyway. So that's why I like to, if I'm doing any of these presentations, keep them a little interactive, engaging. But given we don't have a lot of participants right now online, we may not necessarily do the interactive part. However, if you have any questions as you go through this, please feel free to put them in the chat or even interrupt me, unmute yourself and ask me those questions. So with that, I will, uh, okay, I see Sagar. Is my voice better right now? Is it still low? It's better. Okay, all right. I'll try to be loud. If there is anything, please feel free to interrupt me and let me know in the middle. Since we are talking of product market fit, and I always like to, I mean, there's anytime you have any presentation that you're trying to make, I have found that Dilbert always seems to have an answer to get it started. So product market fit, on a serious note, it is a function of market expectations versus what we all build as an engineering build or a product build. And a value of zero reflects complete failure. This is our definition. A value of one represents complete fit, just to set the context and stage. And very few typically achieve PMF. This is one of the hardest things to achieve PMF in a startup journey. When you achieve PMF, you kind of need to stop really going out to the market, promoting your product, selling it anymore. You have the reverse problem that it's just flying off the shelf. There are customers coming without you doing too much of a marketing effort. So, I mean, there are examples like iPhone. When it first came about, it reached that PMF fairly quickly, and Apple always since then with its products, most of its products have had this reverse issue of really managing the supply chain and demand very carefully, because to create an artificial scarcity so people line up when the product first comes out and things like that. But they don't really have to do too much marketing other than saying the new product is coming out. At the same time, something like a Google Glass mm, did not really work out. Tata Nano, which I actually believe was a great car, but it did not, probably not the right product for the right market, or not the right product at the right time, or not marketed the right way. Multiple reasons. It did not really achieve PMF. So on a lighter note, I started saying about Dilbert. This illustration also shows why actually typically most people fail to achieve PMF, because when you are trying to set up your goal, if many of us probably have been in these type of situations. So as you are setting the goal, especially I ran product management for a large business unit in a Fortune 100 company. So the goal is, okay, whatever you're doing every quarter. Uh, and what this is saying, if the goal is very focused on what makes your financial or wealth objectives, revenue objectives, booking objectives, and all of that, that's probably not going to get you satisfied. You really have to go beyond that and ask about what is going to make your customers happy and what is really going to get them going. That's the way to achieve sustainable product market fit. And this is a humorous depiction, but this is a fairly real world situation on why a lot of companies fail to achieve or sustain product market fit. So having said that, I'll take a bit of divergence here into, we talked about Ikigai and all that. So what is Ikigai? I won't bore you too much about all of this. We'll get back to PMF and things like that. There is a bit of personal story about how I got to where I am. I won't necessarily go into all that, but the idea of Ikigai is, it stands for reason for being. It's a Japanese concept. So it is all about purpose driven growth. And as this graphic illustrates, so if you think about what we all typically do in life, you can classify those things into four big sort of quadrants. One is things that we love doing. Another is a set of things that we are really good at doing. Another is a set of things that the world needs. And then there's a set of things that we can be paid for. And depending on where you are at in your personal, professional journey, or with which hat you're wearing at various times, you will have one, two, if you're really lucky, maybe three of these, but all of those, as this quadrant covers, and many of us probably relate to what it says in terms of having delight and fullness, but not wealth, or excitement and complacency, but sense of uncertainty, or comfortable but feeling of emptiness, or being satisfied but feeling of uselessness. So this applies to personal reason of being, and eventually Ikigai is if you can find the perfect intersection of all of this. And while that is the concept of Ikigai, I think there is a good documentary called Blue Zones, and it's around a region in Okinawa, or now as Japan, where people regularly live up to 100 or so, because they do not consider themselves to retire at any time, as long as they're doing one of these things, what they love doing, what they're good at, what the world needs, even if they're not getting paid for it. I think they've got a sense of purpose. So while perfect ikigai is an intersection of all of these, as long as you're doing one of these things and you are very clear about why you're doing it, I mean, you've got some sense of an ikigai and some purpose in life, and that actually helps drive purpose. So anyway, that's on the personal front. Now we thought that for a business also, eventually, because we talk about purpose driven innovation and purpose driven growth, and we had independently developed this framework that I'm going to cover now, called the Ventures PM² framework. And I started talking about ikigai because of my personal journey. As we map those two, there seems to be a fairly good fit, and that's what I'm going to cover through the rest of this presentation. So actually at this point, normally if I was doing this, I would pause for any questions or an exercise. If there is any question at this point, please feel free to ask me, or the exercise, and you don't have to share this in the chat, but the exercise that I would like to do, you can make a mental note of this. When you meet somebody for the first time, how do you actually introduce yourself? And this doesn't have to be in a professional setting. Even let's say you're meeting somebody at a dinner evening, and somebody asks you, okay, what are you? Who are you? How do you introduce yourself? And that would be, or you take your LinkedIn headline, and mine still needs work, by the way. So nothing is perfect. I would like you to think about it, and if anybody wants to share, please feel free to share.
Probably I have one this thing, Gaurav, to share. Like while people put it on their chat, I had recently asked one of my friends who's like in between jobs to go and attend, like a networking session. And one of the reasons she said she doesn't want to do it is because she doesn't have a job and she doesn't have a title. So she said it feels very awkward to go to a networking meet when I'm not employed because I don't have anything to say. So just talking about to what you were saying about the ikigai part, right? We all attach so much to the professional titles that we have. It is very deeply ingrained.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point, and that was what I was trying to get to. We are so wired that wherever, whether even in not just in a professional network, I kind of understand in a professional network there is hesitation if you don't have a job to go and do networking. But actually, even on a social dinner and all, when people start talking about, okay, what do you do? You say, I'm product manager at Cisco, blah blah blah. But that's just what you get paid for. You are actually so much more than that. And I we all kind of lose that identity. We attach our identity to, okay, what we get paid for, and eventually, if you want to pursue your ikigai, it doesn't need to be just what you're getting paid for. And like your friend, maybe you are on a break right now. You're just trying to figure out what you want to do next, which is perfectly fine. We've all been there. It doesn't necessarily make you a lesser human being or anything. So that's why I say and So my LinkedIn title right now is product guy, but then it goes into I'm the founding partner at Ventures and things like that. So it still needs a lot of work. I would like it to be more where it is really about my Ikigai, not necessarily so much about what I do in terms of a business professional. In fact, just this morning, somebody forwarded me a great Simon Sinek talk about, I can share it in the community. It was about how somebody who was a big shot came to an event to do a talk, and when he was a big shot, he was actually chauffeured with a ceramic coffee given in a ceramic glass and all of that, and then he got to the backstage and things like that. The next year he came, he did not have the title. He pretty much had to take a Uber himself and then walk into the hall and had to pour himself a coffee and in a styrofoam cup. And it was still the same person. He was pretty much the same person with the same knowledge, but because the title was removed, suddenly all this was gone. So that's what we have to think. I mean, we may associate a lot of value to the titles, etc., whatever we have, but those are transient. What you are is actually far more than that, and you are more than what you get paid for. So that was my intention with this exercise. Do it for yourself. When you yeah, okay, I see what Sagar said. Great. Yeah, Sagar, that's actually good. Product manager driving innovation in higher education CRM solution. There's a purpose there. Uh, uh, and I think just like mine needs work, as you really go deeper into it, you will yourself get to refine it. You don't necessarily need me or Malti to refine it. It'll come to you. Your purpose, my purpose, Malti's purpose could be different. It is not something that one person can teach to another person. So, and that's kind of now going into, so that was on the personal front. Now, if you go towards the business side, and now I'll start getting into this product market fit framework, the PM² framework that we have developed. This started as we are very passionate about purpose driven innovation, and I talked about Simon Sinek. I'm a huge fan of Simon Sinek and starting with the why and things like that. And being product managers, we are always fans of this four quadrant thinking, and anytime we think about anything, we try to think of, okay, let's put it into four quadrants and try to dissect it that way. We've used this some version of this in our careers in our past lives. So when we actually started Ventures Inc., we are like, let's develop a framework which really encapsulates all this. And there are lots of other good frameworks that exist out there. So by no mean we are saying that this is the only one out there. There are excellent product market fit frameworks. This one is probably what we would say if you're trying to focus on a purpose driven innovation. And by purpose driven, I'll go through each of these. So start with the why, be very, and take as much time as you need at this stage. Be very clear about the why. And Ikigai parallel to this is almost like the passion, what you love doing, all of that. So in terms of your business, it should be, okay, what is the reason for existence of your business. If that reason disappears, your business doesn't need to be there. So really drill into that why, and I mean, take that time. There is the Silicon Valley mantra of move fast, break things. I would not say that move very fast at this stage. Don't just think of this as an exercise of crafting a purpose statement and then move on and start doing the other things. Because the best thinking comes when you just let it all soak in and get together with your founding team, brainstorm various ideas, let other people's counterpoints soak in, absorb it, and brainstorm on all of that. And Arjun and I, we are partners in this. We actually, as we started Ventures Inc., even though we had been working together for quite some time by then, we actually did this for our own venture. There were days where we would talk, and then both of us wouldn't have necessarily agreed on something, but we would go away and then I think there would be nights where we would get brainwaves. We would just write it in our respective notes and share with each other. In terms of what is your purpose, take the time. This establishes what's your North Star. So do that. And that's kind of your why statement. Then get to the product, which is being product managers. I think we all know and love this. This is sort of the problem statement. So, what is the unique problem that you are solving? Why are you the best to solve that? All of that is here. This will should define the what question for your product. So this actually needs to be what you are good at as a business. That's why I said, why are you uniquely? So, okay, there is a problem that you have fallen in love with solving in terms of the purpose that you've established. However, if you are not really, really good at doing that, you don't have the necessarily skill set or necessary mindset to do that, or you cannot find the right partners to make that happen, then maybe that is not the idea for you. So be very brutally honest here also, as in terms of defining the what question, and the Ikigai parallel is what you're good at. And these two, so I said earlier that product management is a combination of strategy and execution, and a parallel to that is it's a combination of storytelling and a lot of analytics and grounded in uh, uh, TAM, SAM, SOM, all of that market opportunity. When people think of product market fit, most people actually jump to the market and start with TAM, SAM, SOM analysis. It is important, absolutely, it is important. All businesses eventually need to know their market size, who their market is, how big the market is, how do they generate money, but do not start with that. Start with your purpose and the problem statement, and then go analyze the market, the opportunity size, and what is needed. And in terms of the Ikigai parallel, this is what the world needs at this point. And once you, so this now gets into the analytics. The initial two part, purpose and product, is all kind of a little emotional storytelling, building your narrative. But this time you built your narrative. When you get to the market, now you get into the data analytics, and uh, I'm a huge fan of how the human brain works as well. So in a way, if you think about the purpose and product is more right brain thinking, and we product managers typically tend to be more left brain, just because of our training and all that. But everybody has the right brain. So let your right brain lose a little bit when you're thinking of the purpose and product. Let the narrative develop, and then the left brain thinking, which we are all really naturally very expert at, now use it when you get to the market. And then I think in terms of money, subscription models, SaaS, or whatever, now AI agents as a service, however it has to be done, the go-to-market models, etc. That is very important. You're building a business, so get into that in the money quadrant, and of course, this is what you're going to be paid for as a business. So that's what we had developed. The product market framework outside of the Ikigai parallels is what we had developed separately. I started talking about Ikigai because of my personal spiritual journey, and then we one fine day realized that this seems to all fit in very well, and this is our basic framework for what we call Ikigai for your business, or the purpose-driven innovation. So at this point, I will actually again not necessarily do an exercise, but if I was doing this as a workshop, as a class, I would actually open up for doing an exercise where, okay, everybody goes, tries to come up with an idea. Pretend you are an entrepreneur for a day. And what is the big problem that you would like to solve? Whether it's something, it could be complete blue sky. Okay, you want to solve the climate problem in the world, make agriculture green, or something like that, or whatever is your passion project. And people can add that in the chat, or we can keep going, but keep make a mental note of that. And beyond this, I will go into each of the segments of the PM squared framework. So keep that thought in your head. And I'll go back to the presentation now. And in the presentation, so start purpose. A good exercise for finding your purpose is actually, if you haven't watched this TED Talk by Simon Sinek, it's 18 minutes long. I would highly recommend watching this TED Talk about his golden circle concept. It'll really help you. It actually underscores the difference that it can make in a narrative if you start with the why. The why is kind of the purpose. What is your cause? What do you believe? And he actually uses the Apple example when Apple first came about, when they were building basically computer Macintoshes. There were other computer suppliers like Gateway and others in the industry, so it's not like Apple was the first one. But Apple, and if many of you will remember the original advertising campaign by Apple, which was Think Different, Apple did not really advertise that they are making computers. That was not what their advertisement was all about. And even with subsequent things, whether it's an iPhone or a watch or anything, it's never, they don't start with the what. However, most of the time, everybody else, like if it was Gateway, Dell, or any other PC manufacturer, they start with, okay, here is the next generation of my computer. It has so much extra RAM, so much extra compute, so much horsepower. This is what you can do with it. That is starting with the what, and that's how typically almost all products are. They start with the what, they start describing its features, and then kind of say, okay, yeah, this is why you need a computer. However, Apple flipped that script around, and I think now a lot of people follow this. So this is great. Do this exercise for yourself. Really start with the why versus just start describing what is it that your product should do. And that will help you find the purpose for whatever innovation you're doing. A quick anecdote here, actually, sort of on a personal note. And this is, I think many of us may have been around kids. I'm sure some of you have kids, and kids are very innocent. They will actually keep asking you why. And typically they will ask you, you tell them anything, they are not satisfied, they'll ask you why. Typically they'll ask you like 5 whys, 5 to 7 whys, till you pretty much get to, there is nothing more. You've gotten to the final why, and they will shut up at that point. And that actually is honestly a great exercise. You should do that for yourself as well as anytime you're talking to a customer gives you a feature request. It's a good thing to try and understand why do they want it. Go through this nested why. And the personal anecdote on that is actually, so while I was running product management at a Cisco business unit, over 500 million annual run rate business. So I had my one of my nieces and family visiting me. She was 5 years old, and I this was end of the quarter, which is typically a crazy time if you are a product leader at a company like Cisco. I mean, it is crazy as well as good. You feel very great about, okay, yes, you are preparing something that will eventually end up in the quarterly report, and it will end up determining how the Cisco share and all that performs. So you feel very important, and you are extremely busy. The day is packed. So I would so this uh, 5 year old niece, she was attached with me, but I was gone pretty much throughout the day. So when I would come back late in the evening, 7:30, she would come running because she has missed me through the day. As I'm taking off my shoes, she'll come start asking me, okay, about my day. And then she'll start asking me why, like if I tell her I had a busy day, lots and lots of meetings, and she would ask me why, and I mean, why did I do that? Eventually, I realized that as I was answering that was not her intention. I was just trying to be very honest in my whys. That okay, most of those, as I answered those whys, I was actually that week pretty much working on things which were neither making my product better nor making my customers happy. They were only making some internal stakeholders ready for their reports so that they could be shared externally with various people, which actually felt a fairly hollow why at the end of it, that I have not made the product better, I have not really delighted any customer. And I mean, nothing wrong with it. If you are only interested in driving the stock price up, a lot of people probably get a lot of joy out of it, but that left me feeling a little hollow. That this entire day I felt extremely inspired at making such a big difference, but this 5-year-old asks me 5 whys, and I'm like, okay, yeah, not, I didn't really do much. So that and that's everybody's purpose can be different. That's why that why told me, okay, this isn't really aligned with my purpose. I need to probably do something slightly different here. So
That resonates maybe more with the Gilbert's the this thing that you were showing, the memes.
yeah, yep, absolutely. It's like, okay, that's what it made me realize, that okay, what am I doing for my customers? I haven't done anything for my customers. It is all focused on just driving the internal shareholder value. So uh, but actually, let me go back to the slideshow. So I would skip this exercise, but I think now that we've talked about starting with the why, whatever your blue sky idea that you had started with, you can do this in your own time. At this point, and actually, as I said, take your time. Don't necessarily do it in rush. So it's probably a good thing we are not doing this online. Do this for yourself and try to craft a purpose statement where ask yourself those 5 whys on what is the purpose, and don't start describing the product yet. And the reason I would actually do this exercise in real time is because I can almost guarantee that if we did this exercise in real time, maybe your original idea was that you want to really do something in climate tech and make it a very sustainable climate carbon footprint type of an idea. At this point, when I asked you to craft a purpose statement, if you did this instantly, most people would come up with something like, okay, use AI and tech to create a climate impact on the world or something like that. And that is not a purpose. The purpose should not be about using AI to do something. That may be a way to do something, but the purpose really needs to be still about whether AI exists tomorrow or not, or blockchain exists tomorrow or not. Your purpose shouldn't really go away. So that was the intention of doing this exercise. So we'll move on now. In terms of product, and Malti talks about this all the time as well. We are completely aligned on on product thinking and advocating product thinking, and I do believe that I think more and more product thinking is actually being followed in India, and it is poised to really, as in India starts becoming the innovation hub, more product thinking is needed, and I've kind of seen this work as well as when it's not really followed, going back to driving shareholder value, etc. When you are not really focused on product thinking principles, it's very difficult to innovate actually and really bring about a differentiated product. So once you've established your purpose, after that, product thinking at its core, and I assume most of you know it, is about starting with extreme intense focus on user. So be completely user centric, or I mean, if it's business to business space, maybe customer centricity can replace user centricity, and then start from there. See how you are actually delivering business value to your end users and customers, and mm, uh, then of course through that for yourself, what is the business value that whatever you're building is delivering. And you've established your purpose, so then keep iterating through this. The first time around you go through this section, you may not really get the answer, but be open to keep iterating, and get customer feedback, get user feedback. That's why build in small increments. Don't try to build the whole big thing all at once and then go out to the market. It's all about staying focused on the users and customers, get their feedback, do basic MVPs or not even MVPs, mini MVPs and go out, test with the small set of users, and all of that. I think it has proven to have worked wonders in the tech world, in the B2C space for the last several years. It works actually equally in the B2B world. So stay extremely focused on the users and customers and the business value and iterate. And through all this, if you notice, there is no mention of the tech or the solution. Whether you're building next generation of networking, doing AI, you're doing something in Web 3.0, blockchain, all that is is great. Or you're doing a cybersecurity solution, all of that is great. That's your core tech. That's your core area of expertise. So nothing wrong with it, but that should be a way to achieve this. Do not start with a solution and try to force fit into a problem. Because at this stage you're still trying to define the problem and what is the big what for your product. So it's still not time to get deep into the weeds of exactly how you're building it and the design details and all of that. They'll emerge out of this. But as you're doing focused on the user centricity, business value, and iterating, the design and all of that will emerge out of it, and let it emerge out of it. Don't force it. That's the main thing. So with that, so that kind of will conclude the more right-brained or the narrative side of it. By now, you got your purpose statement, you got your product statement, and you are actually now ready to unleash your left brain, which you probably been holding. If you're a product manager professional like myself, you probably been actually holding your left brain back all this while. Because I'm sure there's a voice inside your head which is like, but what about my time and so on, and how big the opportunity is, how do I make money? So now it is time to unleash all of that, go wild with the analytics data. And so this is something that we have developed, another sort of customer segmentation framework. And maybe at a very early stage, it is not so relevant. This is more once you already got an established kind of one product and you're trying to launch another product line. But I wanted to throw it in there at a high level at this point. When you get to market, if you are coming up with a new, complete new category, this is the first product line you're launching. This is where you do your TAM, SAM, SOM analysis. Do try to go salvage all the marketing reports that you can get, compare them, and be aware that all analysts actually get these things wrong. And most analysts who are actually analyzing a particular market segment, their job actually is to create the market segment report. So they, by the definition of their job, I mean, their job exists if the market exists. So they will be biased towards overblowing the market. If you're trying to play in this market, clearly you have some differentiated knowledge of this market. So utilize that. Trust your instincts, trust your gut at this point also. But absolutely use all the market data that is available out there. If you're doing this the first time, if you have an existing business and you're trying to add another innovation line, that's where this customer segmentation, and you have some set of customers already, this framework can come in handy. It is basically again another 4-quadrant approach to existing customers, existing offers, new offers. And you have to understand what type of customer it is. There are some customers which are naturally more prone to or more accepting about new innovation and things like that. There are others who will only go with something that is well established. So based on where they exist, what type of offers you're doing, it's a good thing to exercise this customer segmentation framework to define different type of go-to-market strategies. If you are actually an existing business line that has existing set of customers and you're bringing in innovation. If you're doing this completely first time, then it's of course you have to do your TAMS and SOM analysis based on analyst reports. My only advice there is trust your instinct. You are clearly an expert in that market, that you are trying to do a venture in that. So don't just get completely swayed by analyst reports. The analyst reports will always go through the typical hype cycle, trough of disillusionment, and all that. And if you want to not necessarily go up and down with those, using your judgment, your intuition, your gut is extremely critical at this stage. Now the last part. So this is about money. How do you get paid? Every business eventually is a profit-making business. So again, we have developed something for this. This also makes sense when you have multiple offers. If you have only one offer, then just think you will have only one S curve. So this is actually showing multiple S curves. There will be some S curves which will be completely declining. So the two lines that you see there, which are only going down, those are, and think of this as a case of a well-established Fortune 100 company, the likes where I had worked before. There were existing business lines which are actually, you can see that they are going to decline. So this is where, if you are a product leader in any one of those spaces, you have to see this and see the trend lines and launch something new well ahead of time. Uh, you cannot wait for when it has completely declined to launch it, which is what most companies actually end up doing. That's why it is very hard to go through multiple S curves, and most companies cannot survive disruption. However, if you do want to survive disruption, you have to be able to read these S curves, and when an S curve is kind of reached the maturity and about to decline, you have to do everything possible to launch something new that will get on the growth trajectory, because getting something new on a growth trajectory also takes time. And But if you're an entrepreneur starting something brand new, you will have only one S curve to worry about. If that's the S curve you worried about, be very cognizant that there is almost nothing that turns profitable right away. So they be prepared that, okay, in the beginning it's going to be a dip, it's going to be a negative cash flow as you go into investors. When you tell them the story, also be ready to show them the negative cash flow. They are actually looking to understand that you understand the risks that are in here, and but you have a plan to turn it around, and you have thought through all of that. You build an execution plan. So to do this right, actually, this is where you will need a very solid execution plan, which is what any investor wants to see. Also, besides just a business plan that will emerge out of this, they will want an operating plan, execution plan. All of that will back this up. That's how you will get the S curve. So, and this is where strategy meets execution. There is actually, strategy is useless without execution. So it's all great to use the right brain thinking and do the purpose, product, and all of that. However, if you are not ready to do the hard yards and do this level of planning, and then actually following through with that and having the operating plan, uh, chances of success are very slim. So, especially chances of success in terms of okay, achieving money. Maybe you will feel very satisfied because you've done something related, aligned with your purpose, and you enjoyed the blue sky thinking. But turning successful in terms of having a business that is profitable will require very strong execution focus, where you actually do have an operating plan, execution plan. So, and this is where you'll get to really kind of model what we call the product S curve. And for me personally, actually, Malti introduced me at the beginning. One of the things that, and maybe I'll actually go out of the slide mode, but or maybe not. For me personally, uh, uh, it's actually, I got to experience what's called the product S curve, and I'm very fortunate that I have had the opportunities that I've had through my career, where I was part of a startup which was doing great. This was back in 2006 to 2007, 2008 timeframe, when mobile broadband was just taking hold all across the world, including North America. Smartphones were just coming about, and we were building products in the networking infrastructure space that everybody around the world needed. And they were actually so our products were very differentiated, and I was a product leader. The CEO of the company was very customer focused. I got to experience product thinking in its first hand there. It was a chaotic space, but the CEO had told everybody that nobody says no to the customer unless it comes directly from the CEO. So, as a product manager who happened to be fairly techie myself, and I'm going meeting these customers all around the world, and I know the CEO has pretty much said that nobody says no to the customer. So, when I'm talking to a customer, if I understand what they need and why they need it, I could actually make the commitment right there and then. I did not need to talk to anybody because I knew everybody else has the charter that if the customer needs something, they have to do it. That was very empowering, and we actually that culture, while it's not sustainable, but that is what is probably required at the early stage of a product test curve. I got to experience that. We were hugely successful. The only problem, and because we used to work with customers like Verizon, AT&T, Vodafone Group, Orange Group, Airtel, Geo, and all of these type of large service providers across the world. The only problem most of the customers had with us is you are too small for us to put you in such a critical part of our network. And Cisco took notice of that, acquired us. And that solved that problem. And then I was really enjoying my startup journey. Before that, I had been in a big company. So while it was great, it was a huge acquisition. At that point, I thought I'll leave and continue with a startup journey somewhere else. However, Cisco is actually a great company in terms of doing merger and acquisition, and they identify key people who can help them if they're serious about taking an acquisition, turning into a large business. And they tapped on me to lead product for this business line. And there were three other acquisitions that we did subsequent to that. The goal was to make this $1 billion annual run rate business. So I'm really glad I stayed because by staying, I ended up experiencing the part of the product S curve where you go to scale up, hyper growth, and eventually become the market leader. You are the gorilla in the market. So we had 30% market share across the world in what we did. Every operators across the globe in every country used what we built, and that was amazing. And then, as you can see from this chart, I actually got to experience the innovator's dilemma also, where we got disrupted. Now we were the gorilla in the town, and there are other disruptors trying to disrupt us. So I got to experience the good, bad, and ugly of that innovator's dilemma. And so by the time I left Cisco, I had the opportunity to experience every phase of product test curve up close and personal. Most people do not get those type of experiences in one career. There are people who are serial entrepreneurs. There are people who are big company people. And that's why when I really sat back and tried to think of, okay, having experienced all these phases of a product test curve, what gets me going? What is it that I truly enjoy? What is my purpose? And that's when I realized that whether it is at the early stage or whether it is during that innovator's dilemma phase, it is actually the innovation phase of the product S curve that really, really gets me going. And I have acquired some differentiated knowledge through this in terms of what to do, what not to do. So why not help others do that? That's why we launched Ventures Inc. And we've been doing this for the last 18 plus months and having a blast at it. I think I'm getting close to the end. I've already talked about this. This is a case study of this framework applied to, this is the company that I was part of that was acquired by Cisco. So and I did not necessarily think about, this is all retrospective. So when I joined this company, our stated mission statement was intelligent performance. And actually what we were building were these 3GPP gateways. If any of you are familiar with mobile networks, there are these gateways that exist that are phones. They first talk to a base station, but beyond the base station, whatever exists, so you have these gateways which are well defined in the standards. So that's what we were building. Our mission statement said nothing about us building that. It said intelligent performance. And in the beginning, I was like, okay, but that was the purpose. We were actually trying to build something, as I reflect back on it. The purpose was actually to have an unmatched performance, have an unmatched intelligence, and the gateways were, that's where the product statement came in. It was the industry's first multi-service, multi-access gateway. Before this, actually, every gateway used to have a different box, and there used to be this concept of GILAN services, which are firewalls, DPI boxes, and whatnot. All of them were separate boxes. We pretty much changed the world where now all of this is one single box that does everything, and that all, and it does it in such a way that it also delivers performance. And everybody in the industry adopted this playbook. So whether it's Ericsson, Nokia, whoever was competing with us, Huawei, anybody who does this actually follows this playbook. And we pretty much revolutionized the mobile broadband market by coming about with this. Whether we won a customer or our competitor won the customer, they all followed this playbook. And we were, so this thing now is getting a little deep into the weeds in terms of simultaneously attached active users, but that was a revolutionary way of actually coming up with a pricing mechanism back then. Back then, typically the licenses which were sold for all of these products were based on simultaneously attached users. If you're attached to the network, you have to be paid. You get counted as a license. However, that worked fine for voice networks. In data networks, you are attached all the time. The moment you turn on to and power on your phone, you're attached. But if you're not doing anything, you're not really active. So the operators were like, we want to serve all these users, but now we have to take license for all of these users who are going to attach to our network. So we came up with this concept of, okay, no, you don't have to pay for licenses for all. You have to only pay for licenses for the active users. Of course, the pricing was different. This is how the entire industry prices it now. It was differentiated back then. So again, all of this is completely retrospective. I did not think of this when I was at that company. I was a product manager absorbing all this. As I think back on why we were wildly successful, and I have developed this PM² framework, it dawned on me that yes, we were successful because this company did and it's all thanks to the founders and thought leaders there. I did not have a lot to do with coming up with all this. But thanks to them, this is an example of how it was widely successful in terms of something that probably followed this kind of, they did not think of this framework, but it works. So I've talked about most of this. I think eventually, if you want sustainable growth and not just once and done, or you, as you're coming up in your entrepreneurship journey, or you're a product leader in an existing company, I think product thinking, purpose-driven innovation that I've talked about is the key to that, in our opinion. And you can find a lot more of this if you follow me on LinkedIn or on our website. I also have a podcast like Malti, though right now, in terms of our podcast, we are going through a bit of soul searching in terms of why are we doing a podcast? Because Malti has an excellent podcast. Lenny has a great podcast, by the way. If you're a product person, you must listen to Lenny's podcast. There is another great podcast by Silicon Valley Product Group called Product Therapy. So there are lots of great product podcasts out there. There is also Nick Hill, who does the Skip Pop podcast, and then there's Shreyas Doshi. So there are other product leaders out there who are all excellent. We are kind of going through, and when I generate content, I really want it to be something, there's plethora of content. So want it to be really something that adds value. So that's why we're going through a bit of a soul searching with our podcast, and bridging the valleys is what our current stated mission is, that we are firmly behind. So we are probably going to relaunch the podcast more focused around bridging the valleys. So right now we are on a bit of a pause, but that's all the information. And happy to connect with everybody on LinkedIn. Reach out. So that's all. Hopefully this was useful. If there, I think there were some questions through the chat, correct? So we can take those now.
Yeah, first of all, Thank you so much, Gaurav. This was very insightful, and especially, kind of translating back of your own journey about the startup. I think it kind of completed the picture of the product management, the PM framework. And I love the way, because this is something, again, this is to be very iterative, right? Like while you create your product, you're trying to find the market. I would say it has to be also very iterative to see whether you are there in the right market, growing market. Are you building the right product, solving the right opportunity? So we can probably take up first question. I think there was a question from Sadhana. She said, I'm a student and a fresher who's choosing product management. Can you please explain a bit about how do you adapt frameworks to different industries or product types? Do you want to take that, Gaurav?
Yeah, sure. So it is actually a good question, and the in a way people ask me also. I've been a networking professional all my life, telecom professional. So, and whatever I've done in terms of my career has been telecom, B2B space, typically. And then we have developed these frameworks. The reason we have developed these frameworks is not because they are only applicable to the telecom market. They are genuinely across any segment, in our opinion. So I think to answer the question at a high level, all of these frameworks, if you truly focus on the why, like purpose, focus on the why, product, focus on the what, stay away from the solution in the tech, then these frameworks are absolutely applicable. There is a tendency to jump into the tech. At that point, yes, then yeah, the framework will start looking like all. Okay, what do I do with the framework? Because you're now already jumped into the tech. But as long as you're staying true to the purpose product, they are applicable across any. You want to add anything, Mark?
Yeah, that's right. Uh, the next question is from Sagar, where he's saying, how do you determine when to stop asking why and conclude you have reached the root cause of a problem? I think that's a brilliant question.
Yes, it is a brilliant question actually, and typically, I would say to know when you will actually kind of know there is no more why. I actually do this sometimes in conversation when just not to put anybody in the spot, but somebody tells me about something, ask them why, then you will eventually get to a why, which actually seems very very aligned with the core purpose, and it goes beyond. It won't be anymore because okay, somebody might say that they want to create a unicorn, they want to do a wealth generation. Why? Then they would be like, I have a family to support and all of that. And if you ask why you want a very comfortable lifestyle for, and then they will eventually get to a point where you're like, yeah, there is no more why here. This is your so you will kind of get it as you're doing this exercise for yourself. However, a general rule of thumb is, I think, five whys work. uh, uh, you would rarely have to go beyond five whys. So don't try to do it more than 5 to 7 times. Within that, you will get to the root.
Yeah. And if I may add, I think when you so the way I look at, and I have extensively used five eyes, especially during my user research, and sometimes, as you said, on my own reflections, Gaurav. Sagar, if I have to just add a couple of more things here. So think of this five eyes like like layers of onions, right? The more you peel, you kind of go more deeper. So after a certain point, if you are continuously talking about things which are very similar, that means you've kind of reached a space where you have kind of found the problem statement, right? Otherwise, usually you will find more depth. So as Gaurav was saying, I think while there could be n number of whys, the five why ideally is that by the fourth or the fifth question you will kind of reach the core problem itself. So yeah, but ideally if you think that the more you are asking why, you are coming up with very very similar answers, that means you have kind of reached the core problem. All right, so let's take the next question from I think there was one question from Sri Harish, if I remember. What are the tools you recommend to measure if we have reached product market fit?
So there are, I'm sure there are some excellent tools. So I would recommend that you do your research. There are lots of tools which can quantify your product market fit and things like that. I don't necessarily want to recommend a particular tool. However, what I will say is you will know it when you have it in terms of product market fit, and the way you will know it is in anything. For example, whether I'm doing ventures, Malti is doing her community, when we haven't reached the product market fit or anything else. When I was in a startup and we were doing what we are doing, I was constantly on the road or promoting things where I had to tell the story. I had to tell what we are doing, why we are doing it to various customers, why are we the unique players to do what we are doing. And that's perfectly fine. When you're doing something in the beginning, that is very much needed. You have to go tell people what you're doing, why you're doing it, and that's only way they will know. However, once you built your core portfolio, your core product to enough of a level where the MVP is speaks for itself, then actually you will start suddenly getting all these customers and all these people reaching out to you who you had not done anything in terms of outbound market. It actually starts coming in as inbound leads, and you have more than what you could take on when you reach that stage, whether it is as an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, or as a company, where now your problem is not outbound marketing versus it become the biggest problem becomes that okay, you're getting all these leads and you have to start fulfilling them. You have to build the product faster and faster. That is when you reach product market fit, and at that point you transitioning from the initial chaos of the early stage to now you have to start getting a little disciplined about start focusing on okay, execute to whatever your leads are.
Yeah, that's right. And if I may add couple of things here, Gaurav, and I mean, as Gaurav said, you will know when it is happening. You will get the feelers. You will see things happening around. But just a couple of things which, as Gaurav said, right, that naturally, without you asking, your customers are talking about your product. Your customers are referring your product, right, and that translates into these inbound queries or inbound traffic that is happening. But there are some very tactical tools that have been shared. For example, they say that when you're kind of looking at your from a customer retention perspective, some of the, again, this is contextual to the industry, nature of the product and stuff like that, but I would say 40% of your customers are kind of coming back month on month, again depending upon what is your engagement, the pricing model, whatever is your monetization model. But some of the key indicators, if I may say, rather than metrics, some of the indicators are that you do not have a leaky bucket. That means while your acquisition channel is great, but you have a constant leaky bucket where customers are constantly leaving you. If that is the case, you definitely haven't reached a product market fit. When you are, as part of your outcome, you are able to see that there is some kind of a plateau where the customers who are coming back to you are, like there's it's kind of consistent over a period of time. This could be over 6 months, 1 year. So your product market fit is like not one day where you say that, yes, I have arrived. It doesn't happen. It has to be over a period of time. Then one very interesting question, I don't remember, was this, was it Dan Olson or somebody, they said, if you ask one question to your, just like NPS, if you ask one question to your users, saying that what happens tomorrow if this product doesn't exist? And if they say that I will be very disappointed on the gradient, that means you have kind of arrived at product market fit. So these are some indicators, but again, I would always say that please take it with a pinch of salt, because this is very contextual, how it may happen for a B2B product versus a B2C product. But these are some indicators that I would usually start to looking at, and then there are specific metrics depending upon the nature of problem that you're solving. Oh, okay, Gaurav is back.
Yeah. Sorry, my that computer I think was acting up. It died, so I'm joining from a different device. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think before we go into that, I think Sri Harish has one question. He's asking how hard it was for Cisco to reach PMF. Did you have any lessons learned? Especially the markets are
Uh,
so constantly changing.
yeah. So, mm, and Cisco is big. So I by no means know. When you say Cisco to reach PMF, if you're talking about early stage of Cisco, I was not there at that time, and I can only take a guess. Uh, I think Cisco is a great example of a company that started at a time when networking was just okay. People were just networking was a local area network, and then WAN was coming about. So it ended up in the right space at the right time. So I'm sure it achieved PMF fairly quickly. And then after that, if Cisco was NVIDIA of its time at some point, where if you go back, you can see how rapidly it grew, and then it kind of went through a decline, and then it's stabilized. Cisco as a whole. I joined Cisco much late through an acquisition. So I can talk about my journey. For us as a startup, we achieved product market fit independently of Cisco. Cisco acquired us because they saw that, okay, here is a startup operating in our space, which seems to have achieved product market fit. There are customers lining up to outside these people. They cannot keep up. It's all chaos. We were actually at that point releasing builds every day to different customers. It was wild, wild west. I had come from a big company before that. So it was a great exercise, but we pretty much knew that we have product market fit. We couldn't keep up with. They were spending no time in trying to tell people what we do. We were just trying to keep busy, stay busy with yes. There's more and more customers who want what we do, and that's when Cisco acquired us. And after that, Cisco's main objective actually was this is wild, wild west. This is chaos. We want to scale this business to really become the market leader. We want to bring some structure to this. And as I said earlier, that I thought I was going to go leave and go back into the entrepreneurial journey again. But the reason I think Cisco tapped on me, I was one of the people who had enough of a knowledge. I was kind of a product leader here. And in my past life, I had experience in a big company. So they, of all the people who were around, they were like, okay, this person kind of understands product, understands tech, understands how big companies work. Maybe he can help us do take it to the scale up and hyper growth phase. And I'm thankful I stayed and did what I did. So, but we achieved PMF independent of Cisco, and then within Cisco, we tried to do disruptive innovations. And we tried a few actually. So through the innovator's dilemma the phase, we would launch a few things. I have experience on knowing we did not reach product market fit with several of them. We launched a few, trying to launch new S curves. So within Cisco, I can tell you, we did not reach product market fit because even with the big brand name of Cisco behind us, we would go and promote these offers, etc. But we were spending far more time trying to promote these offers versus customers just coming to us saying we want this. So I can tell you that experience, and I can speculate, like I speculated on what Cisco's original product market fit was. I can do that. However, I don't have a real practical example of me being at Cisco where we'll launch something breakthrough innovative. We did launch many smaller offers where we knew that we reached product market. That would happen every year, something new that we're launching in terms of new features, etc. So yes, but something breakthrough, innovative, disruptive innovation that actually achieved product market fit as Cisco. I have more experience of things that did not achieve product market fit.
And I think I really have to say it is elusive, and and
Yes.
it's like going to one of those national parks and to be able to figure out that how soon will I be able to sight
Yeah.
that jungle lion, king of the jungle. Anyway, coming back to the last question from Sagar, which says that, what does, love the idea of bridging the valley. What does this mean? Is it about connecting the US and India? And what do we learn more from that world?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Sagar, for asking that. And in a way, it is apt that my other computer died and I was able to join through this other computer, change my background image around, which is the image of one of my favorite bridges. This is actually my evening walk. Most of the evenings, I live in Boston and Bangalore. I'm kind of a global citizen. So this, where I live in Boston, it's very close to the Charles River. And most of the evenings I'm walking by this river. So this is a picture I took of a very still Charles River on evening, where you can see the Boston skyline reflected. So it's a picture of bridge, if you can see it in the backdrop. I don't know if Riverside is working or not, but anyway, bridging the valleys is about, since I am a global citizen, I spend my time between Boston and Bangalore, and I have a founding partner who's also of the Indian origin. He shares all my passions, and we are aligned on Ikigai, product market fit. We have co-developed all of this. He's based in Bay Area, Silicon Valley, and we are both very passionate about utilizing our years of experience that we have gathered as product leaders in Silicon Valley, in Boston. And we believe India is right now poised to and go through this kind of a transition of building great products. And we can actually make a far larger impact by being involved with the Indian ecosystem than we can out in the West. So bridging the valleys is, yes, bringing our knowledge from Silicon Valley and the West and helping Indian entrepreneurs, Indian product folks like yourself as much as possible to apply the best of the West. At the same time, I think there's a lot of Indian resourcefulness, Indian jugaad, and there's actually a lot more. Since I talked about Ikigai, there's Indian spirituality, spiritual values, and there is a lot of core purpose and things like that. It's not just about pure the Western. While I'm a huge believer in capitalism and capitalist system, but when your purpose is wealth generation, you don't necessarily do most impactful things. And I think Indian entrepreneurs have an opportunity to utilize technology to really create a very positive impact in the society in terms of how the products are built. And that's what we are passionate about. So that's what Bridging the Valleys is all about.
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting concept, and I'm sure that this the Indian ecosystem will benefit hugely from the know-how that you and Arjun bring from the other side of the world.
Yep. That's our belief. That's what why we do what we do in terms of, okay, aligning with our Ikigai, aligning with our purpose. And I kind of feel that as we are talking about product market fit for ourselves, we have been on this product market fit journey for Ventures itself for some time now, in terms of trying to figure out, okay, yes, we understand why we are doing it. This is aligned with our purpose, our passion. This is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we would like to do. What is it? Who really needs this, and why do they need it? All of that is part of the PMF journey. So this is a evolution process.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, I don't see any more questions after that. So, first of all, whoever joined, thank you for joining us today. And I have also shared the feedback form. So, please take a couple of minutes. It just has 4 questions, so that would take you less than 2 minutes to fill up the form. And most important, thank you so much, Gaurav, for joining us today and sharing your Ikigai and some deep insights on the framework. I really, it is so close to what the businesses can do, and very applicable. So thank you again for sharing that and sharing some deep insights.
Thank you. Pleasure to be connected with you, and pleasure to be part of this community. Look forward to actually meeting more people in the community. And I am spending a lot of time in Bangalore. So anybody else in the Bangalore area who would love to meet me, spend some more time, reach out. I'm available. I love meeting other product thinkers, and so happy to be here. This is sort of aligned with my Ikigai.
Sure. Thank you so much. So folks know where to find you. So I'm either on the community or on LinkedIn. I'm sure they'll reach out to you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks, Mark.
everyone. Bye-bye.